what U.S. intelligence shows about a plane crash in Russia, and national security highlights from the first Republican presidential debate. We have all of that and more today, August 25th, 2023. Good morning, early birds. I am Zamon Perez. This is the Early Bird Brief, produced by Defense News and Military Times. First up, initial U.S. intelligence assessment found that the plane crash, presumed to have killed Wagner leader Yevgeny Prigozhin, was intentionally caused by an explosion. The official spoke to the Associated Press on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to publicly comment on the matter. They did not offer any details on what caused the explosion. Pentagon spokesman Brigadier General Pat Ryder said claims that Russia missile defense systems shot down the plane were inaccurate.
I'll say right up front, first of all, our initial assessment is that it's likely Prigozhin was killed. We're continuing to assess the situation. We don't have any information to indicate right now the press reporting stating that there was some type of surface-to-air missile that took down the plane. We assess that information to be inaccurate. Again, nothing to indicate, no information to suggest that there was a surface-to-air missile.
Details of the U.S. assessment surfaced as Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed his condolences yesterday to the families of those who were reported to be aboard the jet. He referred to the, quote, serious mistakes by Prigozhin. Putin also said the passengers had, quote, made a significant contribution to the fighting in Ukraine. And in case you missed it, the Civil Aviation Authority for Russia said the founder of the Wagner military company, Prigozhin's second in command, and 5 other lieutenants were on a private jet that crashed Wednesday. The crash happened soon after the plane took off from Moscow with a crew of 3. Rescuers have found 10 bodies, and Russian media cited anonymous sources in Wagner who said Prigozhin was dead. But we need to let you know there has been no official confirmation of his death. Here's why it matters, though. If the deaths are confirmed, the crash would be the most serious blow the Wagner Group has ever suffered to its leadership. It was not clear why several high-ranking members of Wagner were on the same flight. The purpose of their joint trip to St. Petersburg was also unknown. Prigozhin was outspoken and also quite critical of how Russian generals were waging their war in Ukraine. 2 months ago, he led a brief mutiny in June, and after that, U.S. and Western officials expected Putin to go after Prigozhin. Prigozhin's supporters built a makeshift memorial at Wagner's headquarters in St. Petersburg. They piled red and white flowers outside the building yesterday, along with company flags and candles. Lights were also turned on in the shape of a large cross. Russian authorities have said the cause of the crash is under investigation. Another important story, Veterans Affairs officials acknowledged this week that about 32,000 veterans' disability claims were delayed due to a technical flaw in federal filing systems. Some were delayed as long as 5 years. VA officials said in a statement they identified all the veterans impacted by the issue, started processing their claims, and began notifying them of this delay via email. Here's why it matters. Those impacted by the glitch represent a small fraction of the more than 7 million claims filed since 2018, but the flaw means those veterans have been waiting years for answers on cases that are only just now being processed. Leaders called the problem an embarrassing oversight and have promised that veterans will be awarded back pay once their files are handled. Staffers first discovered the delayed claims in February. It's the latest technology misstep for a department already under intense scrutiny from lawmakers and advocates for ongoing challenges with its new electronic health record system. That's a 10-year, $16 billion project that has been repeatedly stalled because of software problems. In this situation, the 32,000 delayed disability compensation claims filed through the online systems were not properly routed to processing staffers. That left those cases untouched. Department officials said the problems began as early as 2018, but could not give the average wait time for each veteran or give a breakdown of when the delayed cases were submitted. VA staffers blame the switch from, quote, legacy claims processing systems to the VA.gov portal for the error. They said the problems have now been resolved so that other cases are not similarly lost in the department's systems. Department leaders could not say how many of the claims affected were first-time submissions versus supplemental filings looking to increase existing disability payouts. The issue was first reported by military.com. Veterans Affairs officials said all of the approximately 32,000 delayed claims are now being processed. No time frame has been given, though, for when they may be completed. In other news, U.S. intelligence officials said that Iranian-made attack drones found in Iraq and Ukraine are reflective of Iran's growing ambitions. For more on this, C4ISR net reporter Colin Demarest joins the episode today. Hey Colin, thank you for joining us. Could you tell us a little bit more about this briefing that you attended earlier this week at the Defense Intelligence Agency headquarters? What did you hear there, and what type of drones did you see?
Hey, so the agency invited a small group of reporters to the headquarters on Wednesday to view some banged-up remnants of Iranian-made drones, namely Shahed 101 and 131s. These are one-way, one-use drones that are strapped with explosives to take out vehicles or infantry. In general, they're relatively cheap, costing thousands of dollars each, and don't need a runway for takeoff. The drones on display at DIA HQ were specifically recovered from Iraq and Ukraine. The parts included wings, nose cones, engines, and the like.
Can you quickly walk listeners through the growing relationship between Russia and Iran? How do drones play into that, and how and why does the U.S. see this as a threat?
Iran has sent Russia more than 400 drones, according to U.S. intelligence, and the two are reportedly collaborating on a UAV production facility hundreds of miles east of Moscow. Officials at the briefing on Wednesday said Iran is both interested in gaining notoriety on the world stage and in making money. Selling these drones obviously means cash or in-kind favors are changing hands, and they made sure to note that, obviously, Iraq and Ukraine are very far apart from each other, so their tendrils are spreading across the world.
So who else has access to these drone materials, and what might be next for the U.S. in terms of managing the situation of Iran's growing drive for international and regional influence?
A lot of these cheaper drones are manufactured with commercially available parts. Concerns have cropped up about where these internal guts may be coming from, including Western companies. In terms of limiting the situation, federal agencies have repeatedly sanctioned Iranian individuals and entities for their alleged weapons work. In February, for example, the Treasury Department targeted 8 senior executives tied to Revolutionary Guard UAV production. But intelligence officials on Wednesday did say choking off the flows of material or money or something similar is often easier said than done.
Thanks for joining us today, Colin. If you liked our conversation today, please like and rate us wherever you get your podcasts. And in case you missed it, the first Republican presidential debate this week featured a wide range of topics. The candidates discussed the national security threat posed by China, the continued American involvement in Ukraine, and the possibility of sending more active duty troops to the U.S. border with Mexico to help with immigration. That all took place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. GOP frontrunner, former President Donald Trump, did not attend the debate, but 8 candidates did. Former Vice President Mike Pence, South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley, Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, Governor of North Dakota Doug Burgum, and former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said it's better to spend money on U.S. issues rather than in Ukraine. But not every other candidate agreed with his take, as you can tell from this clip courtesy of Fox News.
You're sending all this money, but you're not doing what we need to do to secure our own border. We have tens of thousands of people who are being killed because we're not handling both. And so I am going to declare it a national emergency. I'm not going to send troops to Ukraine, but I am going to send them to our southern border.
One of the moderators asked DeSantis if, as president, he would support sending U.S. Special Forces over the border into Mexico to take out fentanyl labs and drug cartel operations. He responded that he would do it on day one. Nikki Haley also had this response, courtesy of Fox News, to Ramaswamy's assertion that funds being sent to Ukraine should be used instead at the southern U.S. border.
So you have no foreign policy experience, and it shows.
And you know what?
One of the moderators also asked DeSantis that if, as president, he would support some mandatory military service for all Americans. He said no, that he thinks it should be voluntary. The next GOP presidential debate is set for September 27th at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute. And now here's some other stories that we're hearing chirps about. NATO member Norway will become the third country to donate F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. The Norwegian Prime Minister made the announcement yesterday. Ukraine marked its second Independence Day yesterday since Russia's full-scale invasion. It also marked the war's 18-month milestone. Ukrainian officials vowed to keep up their fight to drive out the Kremlin's forces. A new study of medical records revealed scores of women and girls in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region were sexually assaulted, often by multiple men alleged to be combatants. Those records were released yesterday. A peace agreement last year ended conflict in Tigray, but nearly all women and girls reported their attackers appear to be of a military group from neighboring Eritrea. And the Justice Department said a former Army reservist pleaded guilty this month to his role in a scheme to steal money from the government. Derek Branch reportedly requested reimbursements for military funeral honors ceremonies that never happened. And on this day in history, in 1944, French and American troops liberated Paris after 4 years of Nazi occupation. That's it for us this morning. To get more top stories and breaking news, go to defensenews.com/EBB to subscribe to the Early Bird Brief newsletter. Please give us a like, a rating, and a comment wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to follow us on social media at @defense_news and @Military Times. The Early Bird Brief is hosted and produced by me, Zamon Z. Perez. Today's episode features audio courtesy of Fox News Channel and stories by the Associated Press, Leo Shane III, and Colin Demarest. Our editor-in-chief is Mike Groups. Have a great day.